All right, let's start with economics. So in the last class, we have started concept of cost, and in this chapter, we have discussed until now we have discussed the meaning of the cost and the different types of cost based on nature and sources. So on the basis of source, okay, let's do one thing. Let's first of all revise everything. So while discussing the meaning of cost, I have explained I have explained that cost is what? Cost is the amount spent on production of any goods or services instead of amount is spent on purchase of goods. So amount that is spent on purchase of goods, we are not right now, we are not concerned about that. In this chapter, we are considering, or you can say we are talking in context of the production, or from the viewpoint of the producer, that whatever the amount that he spent on the production of any good or services, that is called cost. So cost can be broadly categorized into two parts. On the basis of sources, we have two types of cost: explicit and the implicit cost. Explicit cost basically means the cost incurred on acquiring the factor of production from the market, or you can see you can say the amount that a producer spent on purchase of goods or services, sorry, a factor the production from the market, or the payment for the factor which is made to some outsider is the explicit cost. And implicit cost is the cost spent on, sorry, the estimated value of the self-owned factor of production is called implicit cost, right? So this is the difference between the implicit and the explicit cost. And after that, we have also understood the different type of cost on the basis of nature. So on the basis of nature, we have two types of cost. So on the basis of nature, we have two types of cost. One is the fixed cost, and then there is variable cost. Fixed and the variable cost. Fixed cost basically means the cost that does not change with the change in the level of output, and variable cost means costs that keep on changing with the change in the level of output. So I hope everything that we have discussed in the last session is clear to both of you. So if you have any doubt, we will clear that doubt first, then we will start the session and start with the new topics. So Alexander, you want to ask anything?
No doubts.
No doubts. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about other types of costs. So after fixed and variable, we have the other type of cost, which is called, just a minute, which is called total cost. So it is sorry. So it is very easy to understand the meaning of total cost. Total cost is nothing but the sum total of fixed and variable. Sum total of fixed and variable cost is called total cost. So let's suppose I am manufacturing a water bottle, and for the production of this water bottle, I have spent 50 rupees as fixed cost on this bottle, and I have incurred let's suppose 70 rupees as a variable cost. So if I ask you what is the total amount that I have spent, you will definitely say, sir, you have spent 50 rupees for fixed cost and 70 for variable cost. That means you have spent 120 rupees for the production of this bottle. So the total amount that I have spent on production of the bottle is my total cost, right? So total cost is nothing but the sum total of the fixed and the variable cost, right? now you will notice that as the production will increase, total cost will also increase, right? Total cost will also increase as the production increases. Let me help you understand this concept through one example. Just a minute. Okay, let's suppose these are the units of output. Then we have here we have fixed cost. And then we have the variable cost. And then the total cost. Okay, so let's suppose the units that a producer is manufacturing is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right? So as I have told you in the last session, that irrespective of production increases or decreases, fixed cost remains fixed for a short period of time. So fixed cost, let's suppose it is 50. So it will be 50 throughout the production. So it will be 50 at the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh unit. 50, 50, 50, and 50. Right? But on the other hand, variable cost is directly related with the output. That means as the produces more variable cost will be incurred. So if you produce 0 unit of the output, your variable cost will be 0. But as the production increases, a variable cost will keep on increasing. So it at 1 unit, let's suppose it was 30. So it will initially increase at a decreasing rate, right? So it goes to 45. Then it increases from 45, it goes to 55, then 60. And after a certain point, it will start increasing at an increasing rate, right? So from 60 it goes to 80, then 120, and then finally 200. So it shows that variable cost is increasing at a greater pace after a certain unit of output, and initially it was increasing at a decreasing rate. Now, by considering the fixed and variable cost, by adding both these values, we can simply calculate the total cost. So total cost will be nothing but the fixed and the fixed plus the variable cost. So just add these values, fixed and variable cost. So fixed cost is 50, variable cost is 0. So fixed cost will be 50, total cost will be 50, 80, then 95, 105, 110, then 130, then 170, and 250, right? So you can see same as variable cost. You will notice that total cost is also increasing throughout the production, right? You won't see total cost declining at any point. Total cost is increasing throughout the production. It starts from 50, it goes to 250, and it goes on increasing every time, right? So here is a similarity between the total cost and the variable cost, that as production increases, variable cost and total cost both increases, right? This is the similarity between total and the variable cost. Now tell me, you can clearly see on this table, on the schedule, that total cost is increasing, right? And you are able to see that we are calculating total cost. We have calculated total cost by adding fixed and the variable cost, right? So can you tell me, whatever the changes that is arising in the total cost, whatever the changes that is taking place in the total cost, can you tell me the reason behind the change? Is it the fixed cost or the variable cost due to which total cost is changing? Ultimately, total cost is the sum total of the fixed and the variable cost, right? So we simply add fixed and variable cost to get the total cost. But total cost keep on changing. From 50 it goes to 80, then 95, then 105, then 110, and so on. What I'm asking here is that, can you tell me what is the reason of increase in total cost? Is it the total cost due to which it is the fixed cost because of which total cost is increasing, or the variable cost because of which total cost is changing? Alexander.
Sir, variable cost.
Variable cost, correct. Why not due to fixed cost? Because fixed cost is not changing at all. Fixed cost is constant throughout the production. So whatever the change that is taking place in total cost is all because of variable cost. If variable cost if because variable cost is increasing with the level of output, therefore total cost is also increasing. And now here you will notice one more interesting thing about total cost is that total cost is exactly behaving same as the variable cost. See how initially what I have told you regarding variable cost, I have in the last session I have told you that total cost initially increases, right? It initially increases at what rate? At what rate it increases at a decreasing rate, right? So initially it increases at a decreasing rate. After a certain level of output, it start increasing at increasing rate, right? This is how variable costs behave. Initially at decreasing rate, later at increasing rate. Now you will notice same thing is happening with the total cost as well. Same pattern, same behavior is of total cost as well. So total cost initially from 50 it goes to 80. So it increases by only 30. From 80 it increases to 95. That means it increases by only 15 rupees. Then from 95 it increases to 105. That means it increases only by 10 rupee. And then from 105 to 110, that means it increases this time only by 5 rupees. So you will notice that total cost is increasing at a decreasing rate. Every time total cost is increasing, but at a slower rate, at a less by less amount. But after the fourth unit, or after the fourth unit or after the fifth unit, you will notice that total cost start to increase at an increasing rate. From 110, it increases to 130. That means it increases by 20 rupee. Then from 130 it goes to 170. That means it increases by 40 rupees. Then from 170 it goes to 250. That means it increases by 80 rupee. So here you can notice that total cost is also increasing at a decreasing rate initially, and after a certain point it start increasing at an increasing rate. So the thing that I want to basically focus on is that the behavior of the total cost and the variable cost always remains same. If total cost is if variable cost is increasing, total cost will also increase. If variable cost is increasing at a decreasing rate, then total cost will also increase at a decreasing rate. And if variable cost is increasing at an increasing rate, then obviously total cost will also increase at a increasing rate. Okay, so I hope this is clear to you, Alexander.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, since the behavior of the variable cost and the total cost is exactly similar, behavior wise both are same, value wise both are different, right? Value wise total cost will always be greater than the variable cost. See, variable cost will always be total cost will always be greater than the variable cost, because obviously, so because it contains two elements. Now total cost contains the element of the fixed as well as the element of the variable cost as well. So therefore total cost is always greater than the variable cost. So value wise total cost is always greater, but behavior wise total cost and variable cost is exactly same. Okay, so because behavior is same, therefore let's now talk about the diagrammatic representation of the total cost. So when you will draw the diagram of the total cost, diagram will also be exactly same as the variable cost. See, let me explain you. So on the we have to prepare the two axes, y and the x axis. On the y axis I'm keeping the value of the total cost. And on the x axis I'll be indicating the quantity or the output that producer is producing. So as producer produces more quantity, what will happen, that total cost will keep on increasing, but it will not increase at a constant rate. It will not increase at a constant rate. It initially increases at a decreasing rate, and after a certain point it will start picking up at an increasing rate. So therefore when you will draw the diagram for the total cost, it will be initially, because it is an upward it is increasing at a decreasing rate, therefore it will be initially a concave shape curve. It will be something like this, and after that it will become convex. After some point, after a certain level of output, it will become constant. So this is how the total cost curve will be formed. So are you able to recall the curve of the variable cost, Alexander? Variable cost curve was also like this, na? Variable cost curve
Yes.
was also like this, but there is a difference between the total and the variable cost curve. There is one difference between total and the variable cost. Can you tell me what is the difference between the total and the variable cost curve? What is the difference between the total and the variable cost curve?
Sir, I thought both were same. They begin at a decreasing rate, and then
No.
no.
The difference is that behavior, the pattern of total and the variable cost is exactly same. Total cost also increases at a decreasing rate initially, and then at an increasing rate, and same goes with the variable cost. It also increases at a decreasing rate initially. I'm sorry, and after a certain point it will start increasing at an increasing. So the behavior is exactly same. The only difference is that variable cost always start from the origin. Always start from the origin. That means starting from origin basically means that variable cost can be zero as well, right? If you are not producing any output, in that case your variable cost will be how much? It will be zero, right? But even if you are not producing any quantity, total cost cannot be zero. Total cost cannot be zero, since total cost must include the fixed cost as well, and fixed cost can never be zero. Therefore total cost can never be zero. Are you getting this point, Alexander?
Yes.
Is this clear to you?
Yes.
Okay, so so behavior wise both are same. Therefore diagrammatic representation of both the curves will be exactly same. The only difference is that variable cost will always be lower than the total cost, and it will always start from the point of origin. Starting from the point of origin basically proves that variable cost can be zero at 0 unit of output. So if we draw all the diagrams, all three diagrams on the single, sorry, all three curves on the single diagram, this is how it will be presented. Just a minute, let me show you. So we have on the y-axis, I'll be showing the total cost and the variable cost, as well as let's also draw the diagram for the fixed cost. So if I draw the diagram for the fixed cost, it will start from which point? It will start from the point exactly from where the total cost is starting, because this indicate starting point of the total cost will always be the fixed cost. Therefore fixed cost will always start from this point, or you can say total cost will always start from the point from the point of the total fixed cost. So this is how the fixed cost will be presented. Now tell me Alexander, is this clear or not?
Clear.
Yes.
Sir, can you explain the origin of the total cost? Is it because the fixed cost starts there?
Yeah, see, let's suppose this is at this point, unit will be how much unit will be here? There will be 0 unit, right? So at 0 unit, variable cost will be 0. But at 0 unit of output, let's suppose fixed cost will be 50, right? Fixed cost will be 50. Now, so for at 0 unit, if fixed cost is 50 and variable cost is 0, then can you tell me what will be the value of the total cost? It will be 50, right?
Yeah.
So you can see that at 0 unit of output, at this unit of output, fixed cost and total cost is always equal. So therefore the starting point of the total cost and the variable total cost and the fixed cost will also be same diagrammatically. Is that clear now?
Yes, clear.
Okay. So this is how all three curves can be represented on a single diagram. So here you can also notice that total cost curve and the variable cost curve will always be parallel to x-axis. Both have the same basically diagrammatic representation. both are inversely S-shaped, and both are parallel, both will be parallel. They won't be intersecting each other at any point. And the difference between the total and the variable cost, can you tell me what will be the difference between the variable and the total cost? Difference between total and variable cost will be representing what? Difference between total and the variable cost will be representing what?
Marginal.
No, fixed cost obviously, na?
Oh,
Yeah, so see, fixed plus variable becomes equal to total cost. So what I'm saying is that if we subtract total and the variable from the total, what we will get? Fixed cost. So the difference between the total and the variable cost always represent the fixed cost. Let's suppose at 1 unit, for example, at 1 unit, if I say at 1 unit, variable cost is this much. This is the variable cost. Let's suppose variable cost is at 40, and at first unit, total cost is, let's suppose I'm saying total cost is 100. All right. So the difference between, or you can say total cost is 90. Now tell me, at 1 unit, if total cost is 90 and variable cost is 40, then how much is the fixed cost? It will be 50. So difference between total and the fixed variable cost always indicate the value of the fixed cost. Is that clear, Alexander?
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So since fixed cost always remains same at every level of output, therefore, if there is any change in the total cost, it will be entirely due to the change in the variable cost, right? So as we know that fixed cost is not going to change at any point at any level of output. Therefore, if any change arising in the total cost, it will definitely be because of the change in the variable cost, not because of the fixed cost. Okay, so on this table, I've tried to explain the calculation of the total cost. I have on this table, basically I wanted to show how total cost is calculated. So we can calculate total cost by adding the fixed cost and the variable cost. So 50 plus 0, it will be 50. Then 50 plus 10, it will be 60, 68, 74, and so on. And if we want to draw the diagram of the total cost, this is how it will be formed. It will be an inversely S-shaped curve. And the reason is same again. Total cost is inversely S-shaped. It is because it initially increases at a decreasing rate, and it also, after a certain point, it start increasing at a decreasing rate. This is one of the reason of basically why total cost is inversely S-shaped. But there is one more reason of inversely S-shaped total cost curve, which is basically law of variable proportion. So right now we won't be connecting, we won't be discussing about why total cost curve is inversely S-shaped due to law of variable proportion. So we won't be talking about that. Just for the time being, just keep that in mind, that total cost curve is inversely S-shaped only because it start increasing at a decreasing rate initially, and after a certain point it starts increasing at an increasing rate. Okay, now if you want to draw the diagram, all the curves on a single diagram, so this is how it will be reflected on the single diagram. Okay, so this is it. Now let's talk about the marginal cost. Okay, so Alexander, do you have any idea what is marginal? What is the meaning of the term marginal? Do you have any idea about this? What do you mean by the term marginal?
Sir, was it the difference?
Difference? Difference of what?
The
Marginal.
the change in the cost, right?
Yeah, change in the cost is called marginal cost, correct. So marginal, the term marginal basically means additional, and cost you already know. So marginal basically means additional cost. Additional cost that we spend, that we have incurred on production of one extra unit of output is called marginal cost. So let's suppose a producer was producing 10 unit of output, and at 10 unit for producing 10 unit of output, total cost, let me show you how, what are the various values. Let's suppose for producing 10 unit of output, he was spending 200 as variable cost, and at that time fixed cost was 100, so total cost was 300, right? Now he increased the production to 11 units, and by doing that variable cost rises to 280, and obviously the fixed cost will remain same, so the total cost will now be 380. Okay, so can you tell me, for producing 1 unit of extra output, how much extra cost he have incurred, how much extra cost he have spent? For producing
So
10 unit of output, he was spending 300. Now for producing 11 unit, he is spending 380. So what is the extra amount that he have spent?
80.
80 rupees is the extra amount, correct? So this will be our marginal cost. So if I want to calculate marginal cost, I can simply reduce 300 from 380. So whatever the change taking place in total cost indicate marginal cost. So marginal cost will be 80. Whatever the change that is taking place in total cost always indicate marginal cost. So for calculating marginal cost, we simply reduce 300 from 380, then we will get 80 rupees. Now, let's suppose he further increase the production to 12 units, and by doing that the variable cost rises to, let's suppose it rises to 400, and fixed cost will obviously remain same, 50. Now can you tell me the variable cost? What is the variable cost? So whatever the change taking place in total cost is our variable cost, right? So
Yes.
earlier 380 was the total cost, now 500 is the total cost. So I guess 120 is the change that is taking place in total cost. So 120 will be our marginal cost. Is that right, Alexander? You are able to understand this?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. Now one more thing. We can calculate marginal cost on the basis of the variable cost as well. Until now, we were calculating marginal cost on the basis of total cost. We were just considering the changes that is taking place in total cost, and by considering this change, we have calculated marginal cost, right? So we were considering this change, and we were calculating marginal cost. But now, as we have discussed earlier, that whatever the change that arise in the total cost is all because of the variable cost. So if total cost is changing, it changes because of variable cost, right? So, and whatever the change that take place in the total cost, we call it marginal cost, right? So whatever the change that is taking place in total cost, we call it marginal cost. So similarly, as we have understood this, whatever the change that take place in total cost is all because of variable cost. So can we also say that change arising in the variable cost will also indicate marginal cost? Because change in total cost is what the change in variable cost is. Change in variable and change in total always remains same. So can we say that marginal cost can be calculated either from the total cost as well as from the variable cost? Can we say that, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now see, let's do this. Let's suppose if we want to calculate marginal cost, and this time we don't want to calculate it from the total cost, we want to calculate it from the variable cost, right? So for calculating marginal cost from variable cost, we will consider the changes taking place in the variable cost. So at 10 unit, total variable cost that was incurred was 200, and at 11 unit, variable cost rises from 200 to 280. That means there is a change in the variable cost. By how much amount variable cost is changing? It is changing by only 80 rupees. So 80 will be our marginal cost. Whatever the change that arises in the variable cost is our marginal cost. Now you will notice that even if you calculate marginal cost based on total cost, on the basis of total cost, still you will get 80. And even if you calculate marginal cost on the basis of variable cost, again you will get the same value, right? And now suppose from 480, by producing one extra unit, total cost increases from 280 to 400. So that means variable cost rises by, again, how much? It rises by 120 rupees. So this will be our marginal cost. And now you can also calculate marginal cost by considering the changes that is taking place in the total cost. You will get the same answer. You're getting what I'm trying to explain here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically, the thing is that marginal cost is the additional cost that is incurred for production of an extra unit of output. And marginal cost can be calculated either from the total cost. It can also be calculated from the variable cost. So we have two options to calculate marginal cost. So if we talk about the formula to calculate marginal cost, so formula will be something like this. If you want to calculate marginal cost at n unit, you can apply this formula: total variable cost at n unit minus total variable cost at n minus 1 unit. That means if you want to calculate marginal cost, let's suppose at the 5th unit, so you will have to consider the total variable cost at the 5th unit, and from this you will be reducing total variable cost of n minus 1, that means 4th unit. This is how we calculate marginal cost on the basis of total variable cost. See, practically this formula is useless. We do not use this formula to calculate marginal cost. Like in the above table also, we were not applying this formula. I mean, we are not applying this formula manually, but mentally we calculate the marginal cost without applying this formula. So formula is of no use. The formula is only, this is important because sometime it is asked in question, as an examination, you will be asked to give the formula for marginal cost. So in that case, you can simply write this formula. So this is one of the formula to calculate marginal cost if you want to calculate marginal cost on the basis of the variable cost. But if you want to calculate marginal cost on the basis of total cost, so in that case the formula will be different. MCN equals to total cost at n unit minus total cost at n minus 1 unit. This formula will be used if we want to calculate marginal cost on the basis of total cost. Now, one more formula is there which is little different, and it is applied in different kind of situation. The third formula for calculating marginal cost is MC equals to change in total cost divided by change in quantity, change in units, or change in output. So this is the formula. These formula are only used whenever there are in question the units are given in subsequent orders, continuous. Let's suppose if data is given in this format, let's suppose after 10 you have been provided with the cost at the 11th unit, 12th unit, 13th unit. If the question is given like this, let's suppose output is given and then we have total cost or the total variable cost is given, and total cost is given at the 10th unit. Let's suppose 500. At 11th unit it is 550, then 700, and then 1000. If the question is given in this format, we will be able to apply these formula. But let's suppose if instead of giving you subsequent information about the subsequent output, if after giving you information about the 10th unit, question specifies you the total cost of the 15th unit directly, skipping the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th unit, skipping all the unit, you have been provided with the data of the 15th unit directly. So at 10th unit total cost was 500, and at the 15th unit total cost is, let's suppose it is 1800. If question gives you the information in this format, in that time you won't be able to apply any of these formula. You won't be able to use this formula, neither you will be able to use this formula. In that situation we will be using this. So how this formula works, this formula basically requires you to find out the change in total cost. So change that is taking place here is from 500 it goes to 1800. That means there's a change of 1300 rupee in the cost, and output is changing by 5. So now we can simply divide 1300 by 5. We will be able to calculate the marginal cost. Getting my point? I mean, for doing this kind of question, you cannot simply subtract 500 from 1800 and say so 1300 is our marginal cost. No, we cannot do that. If there is no, if the information about the output is not given in the subsequent order, in that case we will be applying the third formula. If the output is given in the subsequent orders, like after 10 it is information regarding the 11th, 12th or 13th unit is given, and in that case we can apply the above two formula, otherwise we will be applying the third formula. Alexander, tell me if it is clear or not.
Clear, sir.
Clear. Okay, now one more interesting thing about marginal cost is that this is one of the characteristic of the marginal cost, that marginal cost, the behavior of marginal cost is like that it initially it decreases. Marginal cost initially decreases. It initially decreases, and by decreasing it sometime it reaches to its minimum point. It initially decreases, it reaches its minimum point, and from that point onwards it start increasing. Then it starts increasing. So it means that initially it will decline, right? It will go down, it will reach its minimum point, and after that point it will start increasing. And once it start increasing, it never look back, it will keep on increasing. So eventually if something initially declines, reaches its minimum point, and then it start increasing, you will see that it will make a U-shaped curve. When you will draw the diagram of the marginal cost curve, you will notice that marginal cost curve always make a U-shaped curve. It's something like this. The diagram of the marginal cost will form like this. This will be this kind of curve indicate the marginal cost. So this curve indicating that marginal cost is initially decreasing, it is reaching its minimum point, and it starts increasing. So therefore just keep this in mind, that marginal cost always makes a U-shaped curve. Just like variable cost make an inversely S-shaped curve, total cost makes an inversely S-shaped curve, fixed cost is parallel to x-axis straight line. Similarly, marginal cost is always U-shaped. Why it is U-shaped? Because it initially decreases, it reaches its minimum point, and it starts increasing after that, eventually forming a U-shaped curve. Okay, so definition of marginal cost. It can be defined as an additional cost incurred by producer on production of an additional unit of the commodity. Any changes arising in the total cost or variable cost on account of production of an extra unit indicate marginal cost, right? So any change arising in the total cost or the variable cost indicate marginal cost, right? After that, it can be calculated by three formula. We have three formula to calculate marginal cost. Practically, these formulas are not very useful. Only the third formula we may find it useful in certain situations. So there are basically we have three formula to calculate marginal cost. Okay, so in this through this table I have tried to explain the marginal calculation of the marginal cost and the behavior of the marginal cost. So we have the output, fixed cost, variable cost, and the total cost given on this table. From these information we will find out the marginal cost, right? So this is how marginal cost will be calculated. So for the on the zero unit, you won't be able to calculate marginal cost, so we will be skipping that part. So we will keep dash at the zero unit of output, since in order to calculate marginal cost we need to have the total cost prior to zero. So since there is no production before zero, so there will be no cost before zero, so you won't be able to calculate marginal cost as well. Okay, now at the first unit, marginal cost, just keep this in mind, marginal cost will always be equal to variable cost at first unit of output, always. Even if you calculate, you will find that it will be equal to the variable cost. See, total cost is 50 at zero unit, and variable cost is, total cost is 60 at first unit. So there is a change of how much? There is a change of 10 rupee. So variable cost is, marginal cost is 10. Otherwise it was also 10. As I told you, marginal cost will always be equal to variable cost. So at the first unit, it will always be equal to variable cost. Just keep this in mind. It will be useful when we will be solving questions based on total marginal and the variable cost. Now see, from 60 it goes to 68. That means there is a marginal cost of 8. Then from 74 it goes from 68 to 74, marginal cost is 6. Then from 74 to 79, marginal cost is 5. Got it? And similarly, you can also calculate marginal cost from the variable cost as well. Tell me, Alexander, is this clear or not?
Clear, sir.
Clear. Now in this diagram, you will notice that marginal cost basically started from 10. It goes down to 8, 6, 5. So you can see that marginal cost is initially declining, and 5 is the lowest of the marginal. 5 is the lowest point of the marginal cost, lowest value of the marginal cost. After reaching its minimum point, then it starts increasing. 5 is the minimum point. It now starts to increase, and once it starts increasing, it will keep on increasing only. So after 5 it goes to 6, 10 and 15. And if producer produces more quantity, let's suppose if producer produces 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 unit of output, then you will notice that marginal cost will never fall down. It will keep on increasing. So therefore we say that marginal cost initially decreases. It reaches a certain minimum point, and after that it starts to increase. And once it starts increasing, it will keep on increasing. Therefore it will make a U-shaped curve. So diagrammatically, this is how we can represent it. So let's suppose if marginal cost is starting from this point at first unit of output, if marginal cost is 10 and second unit, it will be 8. At the third unit, obviously it will be less than 8. So 6, then 5. So initially it is decreasing. After fourth, it starts to increase, right? So this is how it will be. The diagram of it will be formed, marginal cost curve. And if you will be asked why marginal cost is U-shaped, so you can simply say it is a U-shaped curve because marginal cost initially decline reaches its minimum point, and after that it starts to increase. Tell me, Alexander, is this clear or not?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay. All right. So can you just tell me the marginal cost in this question?
Sir, the first one will be 20. Second one
You
will
won't be
be
able to calculate marginal costs at first unit. Yeah, because in order to calculate marginal cost at the first unit, we must have total cost at the 0 unit as well. So since the total cost at 0 unit is not given, so we won't be calculating marginal cost at the first unit as well. So at the first unit, marginal cost will be dash,
0.
or you can you will preferably you should write dash. Then from 20 it goes to 35, so marginal cost will be
15.
15. Then 7, 3, 11, 14, 20, and 30. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So in this question, you will notice that we are calculating marginal cost from total cost, but we can also calculate marginal cost from variable cost as well. So question number 2, in this question, we need to calculate marginal cost from total cost, sorry, variable cost. So since this is variable cost, so at the 0 unit of output, variable marginal cost will be, obviously it will be either you can write dash or 0 at 0 unit of output. At first unit, as I have told you, if variable cost is given to you in question, always remember at first unit of output, marginal cost will always be equal to the variable cost, right? And at the second unit, from second unit onward, you can simply consider the changes taking place in the variable cost. So from 30 it goes to 55, then from 55 to 60, you can simply consider the changes that is taking place in variable cost, and based on that you will be able to calculate the marginal cost. So I hope it is clear to you.
So, sir, does that mean when there's no 0 unit, this doesn't apply at first unit, MC will be equal to
No.
T1?
See, whenever variable cost is given to you at first unit, you will write the marginal cost equal to the variable cost. There is a logic. There is a logic behind that. That is, see, before prior to 1 unit, how much unit the producer must be producing? He must be producing 0 unit of output, right? And if he was producing 0 unit of output, how much was the variable cost that he must be incurring? Variable cost must be 0. So even if question start from the first unit and variable cost is given, in that case also you can calculate marginal cost. Getting my point? Only if, so see, suppose instead of variable cost, you were provided with the total cost. Let's suppose total cost was given and there was no information regarding the 0 unit. So in that case, you won't be able to calculate marginal cost. But if in the question, instead of total cost, variable cost is given, and let's suppose it is the question start from the, let me cut this point. Let's suppose question is starting from the first unit only. That time also you will be able to calculate marginal cost equal to variable cost. Why? Because if at first unit variable cost is 30, you can simply presume that prior to 1 unit, producer must be producing how much unit? 0. And at 0 unit, variable cost that he must be incurring was 0. So from 0 to 1, how much extra amount that producer is spending? 30 rupees extra. So it will be your marginal cost. Is that clear, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So point is that if variable cost is given to you at first unit, marginal cost will always be equal to variable cost. But if instead of variable cost, total cost is given, and question start from the first unit, then at first unit you won't be calculating the marginal cost. Marginal cost in that case be dash. Okay, so please take the screenshot of this question, and I want you to do this in your homework. Question 3rd will be your homework. Tell me when you are done with the screenshot.
Done.
Done. 4th will be your homework as well.
Done.
In the 4th question, you will be calculating the values till the 7th unit only. 8th, there is no 8th unit. Okay, and this will be your homework as well. Take the screenshot.
Done.
After that, please take the screenshot of this as well.
Done.
And okay, please take the screenshot.
Done.
Okay, done. So this is it, Alexander. We will be discussing about average cost, and we will discuss more question. Now, once we understood the concept of average cost, we will be able to do many questions. So just a request, do revise everything that we have discussed till now, because when we will be solving question, all the concept that we have already understood in this chapter will be very useful. So unless and until you know the concept of all those cost, you won't be able to calculate any questions in this chapter. So before proceeding further in this chapter, just a request that you revise everything, then only we will proceed with the questions in the next class. All right, Alexander?
Yeah, all right.
Okay. So Alexander, we will be having an extra class on Saturday around 7 o'clock. Okay. And prior to that, before that, just a request that you send all everything that you want to discuss in this session, so that I can prepare accordingly. Otherwise, time get wasted. So just a request, let me know what are the topics that you want me to cover. Just send all the topics or the question that you want me to discuss in the next session.
Sir, I think bill of exchange you're going to have to explain from A to Z, but trial balance, only the questions that the school gave, I want to discuss.
Okay, just share the question of the trial balance, and we will be starting the bill of exchange from the very beginning.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Alexander. Thank you so much. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.